Hey guys, welcome back to Behind the Beauty. I'm very excited to have Indy Lee in the studio today, or sort of in the studio remotely. I've been using Indy Lee skincare products since around December. I fell in love with it and I heard about the backstory and also how clean the ingredients are and how ethically sourced everything is. So I've been very excited to get to talk to Indy herself. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, and you're just amazing. Like, just hearing your voice, you're so stress-free and like positive about everything. So I really love, and I can feel that in your products. So it's so amazing to finally get to talk to you.
Thank you. That actually means a lot to me because there's a lot of love and a lot of passion that goes into this brand. You know, I think it's not always what you're formulating with. It's also what you're not formulating with. And so for me, it's really taking a look at the ingredients and making sure they're clean and safe, and doing that due diligence for the consumers. And that's formulation is how can we get a formulation that's, you know, really starts from nature, but you've got to have that science element to it.
Yes.
And making sure that it's safe. And then it's, you know, it's always been inspired by my journey. So how can we make it, you know, superb?
Yeah, and you have an amazing journey, like a really incredible one, because you're here talking with me today and you really, you know, and for those listening who don't know your journey, I can't do it justice. So if you would just explain how you even got to this place where you started this brand.
Yeah, of course. I'd be happy and honored to. My story is a little unique, I guess, for somebody who's now in the beauty skincare realm. I actually started in finance. I'm a public-private CPA.
Oh.
And spent yeah, I know, right? A little strange.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had a great career in finance and worked for HBO and did some really cool things and traveled the world with them, and then had kids and, you know, wanted to calm that life down and spend more time with them. And I also realized that I didn't really love finance. Like, that wasn't where my love and passion was. I do love to garden. And friends of mine were starting a school garden company. I was like, hey, let me help you. I'd love to help you with the plants and, you know, take on the nursery, to which they, you know, replied, well, we don't really have a nursery. What are you talking about? I'm like, well, let me help you do that. So I built a 750 square foot greenhouse in my backyard.
Wow.
Right? It even has a chandelier in it because it should be fab. And I really wanted it to have that fun air to it, kind of whimsical, kind of chic, and kind of dispelling the myth that, you know, just because you love gardening doesn't mean you can't be chic.
Yes.
And that's what I was doing. I was bringing school gardens to life. I was, you know, going in there and teaching them the farm to table movement and the importance of eating fresh. And really, if a child grows their own carrots, they're more inclined to eat it. So really talking about that and helping them. Mm-hmm. Parents loved me. The kids were now eating their vegetables. And then one thing led to another, and I found myself more and more in their office and less in my greenhouse. And that's when I said, you know, this isn't going the way I want it to go. And I left that, but I was still providing plants. And I was also bringing edible flowers to Whole Foods and selling when they would have farmers markets. A lot of the local Whole Foods at the time were doing local farmers markets, so I'd bring the produce there. I was bringing microgreens to restaurants, and really, it was amazing. It was an incredible time. Mm-hmm. And then in 2008, in the summer of 2008, I developed rheumatoid arthritis, and I wasn't able to work in the greenhouse anymore or the farm that I built. Mm-hmm. So what's a girl with a lot of calendula and lavender to do? Her sister says, well, she's pregnant. I'm like, well, perfect. I'm going to take those flowers and those buds, and I'm going to make some products for her and for my nephew that was about to be born. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge DIY fiend. I love to do DIY. So this was like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. You do? Oh, I love it. So that was kind of like, okay, well, I can do something else with these plants. And I'm a type A personality, so I kind of went a little overboard and then made little miniatures as party favors for the shower and bought a professional label printer, learned Illustrator, the whole thing. Wow. Well, you know, I knew the impact of products on infants. You know, I did a lot of research on that. Even when I was looking at the food industry. I'd known something about the personal care industry as it related to children. I said, well, I don't want anything toxic going on my nephew's tushy, so I was going to make these products.
Yeah.
So I unveiled them, and everyone's like, oh, my gosh, you should do this. And I'm like, I'm not really sure. It was 2008. You know, it wasn't a time when everybody was embracing it. So I said, you know, what I'm going to do will come to me. At the same time, it's sort of like the universe was sending me a huge signal, and I wasn't listening, so it wanted to hit me over the head. Mm-hmm. Literally, I was starting to lose my vision.
Oh, my God.
And, yeah, I went to the doctor, and I said, you know, something's up here. I'm losing my vision. Something's not right. And he said, you know, we're going to send you for an MRI. I'm like, okay. Let me see what works with my calendar. He said, he looked at me like I had 7 heads. He's like, now works for your calendar? You're going right to radiology? Oh, so it was November 4th, 2008. And never forget it. 45 minutes after walking out of the scan, I got the phone call, and my doctor said, can you come in? I said, sure, let's go through, you know, what are the results said? He says, well, why don't you come in and we can talk about it? And I literally said, Peter, I'm not driving 15 minutes not knowing. I'm going to go Google a lot of bad things and go down a bad rabbit hole. Yeah. What is going on? And he said, you have a brain tumor. And I'm like, all right, I'll see you in 15 minutes.
Oh, my God.
It's interesting. You know, you get that news, and a lot of people can go to a lot of different places. I didn't really make any phone calls. I got in the car and started driving. And alone with my thoughts, and as I'm driving, I had this epiphany. Things were becoming clear to me. I was so busy checking off all the things that I thought I had to accomplish. I'd truly forgotten to live life. You know, I had the career. Mm-hmm. I had the 2 kids. I had the 2 yellow labs. I mean, you get the picture, the cars, the whole thing. But I'd totally missed the bigger picture of being alive. I'm living with passion. I'm living with purpose. And I knew something incredible was going to come from this. I know that sounds so weird. But, yeah, that was just it. By the time I got into the doctor's office, and it was just a 15-minute ride, everything became, in my mind, in Technicolor. It was a November day. It was beautiful, and the colors seemed richer. And I was at peace. And I walked into the doctor's office. I said, okay, so what do we got? Let's do this. And he said, well, I don't know what this is. We don't think it looks like cancer, but you need to see some really heavy hitters in terms of doctors. Mm-hmm. So I contacted NIH, Duke, Johns Hopkins, Sloan Kettering, and scans after scans. And what became evident was from the doctors was they really didn't know what this was, but they really didn't feel they can do much for me. And even went so far as to say, you know, you need to get your affairs in order and spend time with your children. You could have as little as 6 months because whatever this is growing.
Oh, my God.
And I would say to every doctor, thank you so much. I'm going to talk to somebody else. I was on a mission. I was going to find somebody else who was going to give me a different diagnosis and prognosis because I knew this was not how my life was going to go down. Mm-hmm. And I went to visit my neuroendocrinologist, who was pretty progressive at the time. And you think back to 2008. And I said, you know, how is this possible? My parents don't have anything like this. I just don't understand. And he said, we're seeing more and more of these things be tied to the environment. Yeah. I said, environment? Dude, I've got a greenhouse in my backyard where I'm growing my own organic vegetables and plants, like that I eat out of. I eat hormone-free meat. Like, what are you talking about? And he looked at me and he goes, but what are you putting on your skin? And I realized I had no idea what I was putting on my skin. Yeah. You know, here I was thinking about my nephew, never thought about that larger picture. Mm-hmm. And I dived into research to find out and come to realize, and certainly you know this, I've listened to many of your podcasts, the laws really haven't changed since 1938. There is very little regulation here in the United States when it comes to this industry. Yeah. We have to be our own watchdog. And to think that I could have done this to myself and that people didn't know was not okay with me. And I knew that this was happening for a reason, and the reason was to start to create change in this industry. Mm-hmm. And to speak up. And Also in 2008, there weren't a lot of chic lines out there, and I was like, well, I want efficacy. I want clean. I want products that aren't going to be harmful, but I also want to look really chic on a shelf.
Exactly.
And so I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I like Louboutins. So remember, I'm the one with the chandelier in the greenhouse. So what's a girl to do?
Yeah.
So I dove into research. And, when you're told, and during this time I would go and try to again find different doctors who were going to give me a different diagnosis and prognosis. But when you're given this time and not knowing really how much time, not that we ever know how much time we have, you have some choices of how you're going to handle it. And I think you can tell by now I'm a glasses always full and effervescent with champagne girl. And I swear that my time was going to be spent with my children and truly soaking in and up them. At that time, they were 9 and 5. And when they were at school, I was going to go headfirst into research and read everything I possibly could, speak to every dermatologist, naturopath, aromatherapy, aromatherapist, you name it, I was going to talk to them about this industry and what was really going on. Mm-hmm. And kind of take power back into my own hands and start to think about what would a formulation look like and what was missing from my arsenal. I finally found a doctor, ironically at NYU. I'm based up in Westchester County, New York, who said, I'm going to do the surgery. I said, fantastic, sign me up, let's go. Woohoo! I said, well, hold on. You have less than a 50% chance of waking up from this. Oh. And I said, that's great, because I don't know how much if I don't have surgery. So let's go. So he said, we're going to do this on April 22nd. Now, for those of your listeners who don't know, that serendipitously happens to be Earth Day.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it is.
Yep. The universe sends you some interesting signals. I said, okay. I said, well, that won't work because my daughter's birthday is the next day. And he's like, you're going in. I was like, all right. The universe is sending me a sign. I got to take the sign. Yeah. So April 22nd came, and I strolled into the surgical suite. Now, mind you, I thought that, I was going to have this big moment and you're going to be taken into this, get on a gurney and all this stuff. And turns out the nurse escorted me to come on, let's go into this, let's go. And I thought I was going in to get prepared for something. And I walk into this huge surgical suite. I was like, oh, it's going down now. Oh. And I said, put on some kick-ass music. Today's a great day to live. To which the anesthesiologist thought I was absolutely nuts and questioned whether I had been taking drugs or drinking, because I was way too happy to go into brain surgery. And I assured him I was in a really good place and not to worry. Today's a good day. And many hours later, I woke up and I was able to see out of my left eye. And there I was in recovery. You have to picture this. I have all these leads and things that connected to me. And I opened my eyes, and my first words were, oh, my gosh, I can see. Wow. And the nurse said, yes, you're awake. And I said, that is a very good sign. But I was not able to see. Yeah. And then she said, okay, well, we're getting the doctor. You're very sassy. And doctor walks in with a large portion of the surgical team. And I really couldn't read the looks on their face. And at that point, I was like, oh, this did not go as well as I thought this did. Mm-hmm. And the surgeon takes my hand, and he said, you're done. And of course, being the sassy person I am, I said, as in stick a fork in me. And he kind of laughed and said, you're a piece of work. And said, no. When we went in, we were able to lance part of it, drain it, and get the entire mass. Welcome to the rest of your life.
Wow.
And I haven't stopped. This is so much more.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is really about life. This is about empowerment. This brand is about education, helping others to live and make the choices so that they can live the healthiest life for themselves. It is not about being evangelistic. You'll notice, you know the brand enough to know that's not who I am. I just want to help people make choices.
Yeah, and I think the education is really important, because it's just something that we don't talk about enough. Like, even in today's age, so many people think that they're being healthy or that they're getting results from their skincare or their body care line. And, it might give you short-term results, but I'm like, did you look at the label? Do you see those
Yeah.
ingredients?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what they are?
Well, I think your point is dead on. How many of us go into a supermarket or food store and first thing you do is you pick up the box or you pick up the can or whatever it is and you turn it around and you look at the ingredients. You have to think about your products that you're putting on your body the same way.
Because it's on our skin, and our skin absorbs, I think someone said 60%, but I almost feel like it absorbs more.
So that's a great point. So you think about this, number one, skin's your largest organ.
Mm-hmm.
Upwards of 60% can be absorbed into your bloodstream, and it can take as little as 26 seconds. And people go, no. I'm like, well, let's think about that. We have transdermal patches for nicotine, for estrogen. Think you're putting the patch, it absorbs into your bloodstream. We know this. People are not thinking that way. They're like, no, it's just a product.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but the ingredients are absorbed. Not all of them. It will depend on the size of the molecule, etc., but up to 60%.
Yeah.
So we need to start paying attention. We need to start questioning. We need to be our own advocates.
Yeah, and a lot of people will want to argue them. Like, one of the things I get a lot of hate, quote unquote, over is that I had made a comment about buying a powder that was $200 and the first ingredient listed was talc. And it's a loose, translucent powder for setting my makeup. And I understand if the powder cost $8 and they use talc, it's a very cheap ingredient. And technically, it's been okayed by whoever decided it was okay to be used on our face. But then I also made a point that, this is a toxic ingredient. We are not supposed to be putting it in our underwear. We should not be using it as a diaper powder that we've been using it for. And I definitely for sure think you should avoid inhaling it. So when it's in a loose form, it makes me nervous. And I don't think it should be charged $200. And a lot of people want to say it hasn't been proven that it's toxic. And I'm like, but it has. Hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's a lot of going back and forth, and right now that's really heavy in legislation. I mean, you Google it and you'll come up with it. I wrote something back in 2012, and I had the same reaction. I wrote it for the Huffington Post, a poof, a puff, a dab of danger. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, there are a lot of people who are saying it is, and there's a lot of people who are saying, no, it's safe. There are enough studies that are pointing that it's very questionable.
Yeah.
I would err to say there's enough that says, why? Here's the question. When in doubt, let's formulate it out. There are other options out there.
Exactly.
So if there's a doubt in it, why should we use it? Now, some people will insist that it's fine. Well, then that's their choice to use it.
Yeah. And
this goes down to choice.
Exactly. But I'm going to tell you
I choose not to.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm going to choose not to because it's a loose form and I'm going to be inhaling this as I apply it on my face. I'm also going to choose not to because it's $200.
Well, that's a whole nother thing on pricing.
But
right, exactly.
And I'm going to tell you why I choose not to. Now, if you love it and you say it performs and you're not going to give that up, I understand. There's things I use that I probably shouldn't be using, and there's probably foods I shouldn't be eating. But, that's your choice. So
absolutely.
But I would like
and
to.
That's really what this is. 100%. That's what this brand is really about. Again, I go back to it's not evangelistic. It is just raising awareness so that our fans, consumers, are empowered to make their own choices. As I like to say, you know the risk, you make the choice, you be you. It is not my job to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. I just want you to know some additional information that might not always be brought to light.
Exactly. And And what I love about your skincare is I can just use it. I don't have to go and look at the label. Well, I do look at the label, but
I appreciate that. I want people to.
yeah, I do. And, you know, because I like to know what's in it. But it's just so easy to be able to pick up something from your brand and be like, okay, yeah, I know that this isn't full of like nasties and it's not going to have anything that I'm concerned about. So
Exactly. You know what? There are purists who will choose not to use any products and want to make their own products. And you know what? I applaud them for it. Again, you know, there's a brand out there for everybody, and this is really about here. This is how I go about bringing out our products. This is what we stand for. This is the choices we make. And as a technology continues to evolve as it is at a rapid rate, we're going to go ahead and adopt those too. Things change. Let's bring those in. Let's reformulate. Let's upgrade when we can, and or when it makes sense to.
yeah.
You know, it's not one thing or another, and it's no hard fast rule. There was a time when everybody thought talc was safe.
Yeah. My husband's mom, she unfortunately passed away from cancer before I got to meet her, but she had a rare case of ovarian cancer, and my husband said she put talc in her, or she put baby powder in her underwear every single day.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I don't think that that's the only cause. Usually it's a lot of environmental things. Like she also did work in a factory.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of environmental things. I don't think you can always say it's that one thing that caused something, but I don't think it helped.
No, and I would agree with you. You won't know. Just like my personal situation, no one can point to what it might be that caused what happened to me, or that it ever, like, no one will ever know. You're never going to be able to point to something directly.
Yeah, and I kind of like.
But
yeah, you. I'm sorry.
And that's all I'm going to say is but.
Sorry. Well, I like to say, like, it's kind of like your immune system on a day-to-day. You know, just because one person sneezes on you doesn't mean you're going to get sick, but maybe you're already stressed and you didn't get enough sleep and you had an extra glass of wine that night, and then that person sneezed on you, like, and then you catch the cold. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not just that if you touch someone that has a cold, you're getting sick. It's a combination of factors usually.
You are so right. And that's exactly, by the way, what they feel is my issue. Is it's autoimmune related. You know, here I am, rheumatoid arthritis, this brain tumor. You know, my immune system is compromised. Do they know what's compromised? No. Do they think that it could largely be derived from the environment, considering nobody else in my family has anything like this? Yeah. Now, what flipped the switch? Nobody will ever know.
Yeah.
There's no way. You know, when we break our arm, we usually know why it broke.
Yes.
When it comes to these things, it's a little bit different. Unless they know the virus, etc., you're not going to be able to pinpoint it. But we have to, as a community, realize that there's a role some of these ingredients are playing in our health.
Yeah.
You know, I look at makeup as a form of artistic expression and creativity, right? I love it. I'm not great at it, but I love it. I look at your products, your skincare, as more of a health-related issue. Yeah. You're putting it on all over your body every day. It is about the health of your skin.
Yeah.
It's being absorbed. You know, I also always remind people, I'm always so interested because we focus so much on our face, and that might be because we're living in a selfie-generated world right now. But we focus on this very minute part of our skin. What about the other 90-something% of it?
Right.
Let's not just talk about our face products. Like, everyone's like, well, the face products. Yes, of course. You want your skin, you want to look flawless, you know, all that stuff. But what about the care of this largest organ? And that is what you're putting on it and what you're putting in it. So again, you know, it's what are you using to moisturize it? What are you using to exfoliate? What are you using to cleanse? All those things, in addition to what are you eating? How is your gut health? Are you drinking enough water? All these things. Your body is this incredible system, machine, trying constantly to find equilibrium. And we've got to look at it as that.
Yeah. I mean, because I started my like research on just makeup and skincare for the face, and then I started talking to more and more of like cleaner brands and green brands, and they're like, well, the first switch should be your body wash or soap and lotion, your body lotion, because it's going to cover the most surface.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
What's in my shower?
I know. Listen, you know what? When I was first diagnosed, I went on this spree where I was a lotions and potions junkie. So please know there's no judgment here.
Yeah.
I was the person who, if I was handed a sample, I had to draw them. God only knows when those samples expired. And if something had a great applicator, a great packaging, etc., I had to own it. Mm-hmm. Like, that was who I was. So I went home and I started doing research, and I literally was like throwing everything out in my cupboards. I was like, oh my God, literally dumping things.
Yeah.
And, yes, you can go that route. It's not sustainable sometimes. No. It's also very expensive when all of a sudden you realize the next day you woke up and you're like, well, I have no soap, I have no toothpaste, I have no makeup, I have no moisturizer. Oh, great, I can't wash my hair. Like, all those things. Yeah. And I always say to people, the biggest question, I'm sure you get it asked too, how do I go clean? Yeah. And I always say, you can do it like I did it at all at the same time. It's very overwhelming, and then you don't know what's working, what's not working. I always say, as one product is running out, make that switch then. Then you're going to know if that product's working.
Exactly, yeah.
And just do it slowly. And again, I'm not saying all or nothing. I'm literally sitting in my office and I'm looking at my Louboutin nail polish sitting on my desk because I love the way it looks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to apologize for it. I think it's the coolest packaging ever.
Isn't it amazing? I think they did such a good
It really is.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it's cool. And I spent a ridiculous amount of money for it because I thought it was cool. Now, do I use it often? No. I really don't. Yeah. But I really thought it was cool, and I liked it, and I went for it. And I'm not going to, I'm okay with it. Of course, when I went, and yes, I am that person who brings their own nail polish to her nail salon because I like to use clean products. I did bring that once, and they're like, what is this? They're like, we don't even know how to use this. Is this like a weapon? Like, they thought I was crazy. And they're like, I don't know if this is clean, Indy. I'm like, oh, I assure you.
It's not clean.
But I'm like, but I love it. And it's a great color, so just put it on today.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the thing. It's about making choices and making, like, pick and choose where you're going to allow the not so clean stuff happening, and be slow. Like, I don't think people understand, like, I'm not 100% toxic free. Like, unfortunately with my job, I can't be because I need to know what's out there. Yeah. And there's a lot
Absolutely.
There's a lot of stuff that comes into my house that I won't use because I'm like, this is just too much. I can't do it. And I know my skin, it doesn't like this. So I'm going to, pass it on before it goes bad. Nope. And then there's things, and I've had to come to terms with, like, if I don't like it, I don't have to finish it. I don't have to finish a whole bottle.
That's right.
So
absolutely, that's a great point. And that's, again, I love that you say, and I'm hearing more beauty editors, etc., say, it's hard with my job. I have to, I need to try things. I don't have to finish it. And by the way, it's possible that some of it I might like too, and that's okay too, to admit that you like something. Okay, so it might not be the cleanest, but you like it, you use it sparingly, or you use it all the time. Again, that's your choice.
Yeah.
What I've learned is this is not a dress rehearsal life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to live every day as if, I hate to say as if it was your life, but live it full out and enjoy it and appreciate it. And so we can't always say, well, I can't do any of the things that I liked and enjoyed. You've got to appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be very overwhelming, like watching the documentaries, reading blog posts, or reading the research out there, because it almost makes you feel like you need to go and live in the woods, and not consume anything that you can't make or find yourself. But at the end of the day, I love my coffee. My coffee is like my favorite thing. I love the taste of it. I love the smell of it. But some like really purists say coffee's a drug and you shouldn't have it in your body. It's horrible with like how it's being cropped and all this stuff. So I'm like, look, I try my best to buy an ethically sourced coffee and I drink 1 cup a day. But I love it. I'm not going to give that up because life is better with it. For me.
There you go.
You know.
I love it. It shouldn't always be a judgment zone. You know what? The only people we should be looking at is how it affects our lives and our families' lives, and then make those decisions that work for us best.
Yeah.
It's not for me to ever tell somebody how they should live their life. It's not my right.
Yeah, and what makes you happy at the end of the day?
Yes.
You know, I recently lost my mom, and
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And she, like, looking back on her life, I think she really did enjoy it. And we luckily had an extra year. She had a pretty hard stroke that we didn't know if she would recover from. And we were just happy to have the last 7 months with her before things kind of went back down a pretty bad road. And during those 7 months, like, you know, we let her eat whatever she wanted because we were just happy she could eat again. And,
right.
We made sure she did whatever she wanted to do, which was watch a lot of bad TV and eat a lot of sweets. Now, at the end of the day, would it be something that I maybe prolonged her life? No, but you want to enjoy what you can while you can. And at the same time, it's like making the right decisions. And unfortunately, in her situation, she probably didn't exercise enough. She probably had a lot of toxins around her. But look, we're at the end. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, this isn't the point when we're going to make her eat all organic. This is not going to.
Right, exactly.
And it is one of those things, like, I would always harp on her being like, you need to exercise more. You need to eat better. And part of me was like, okay, are we going to fight about this, though? Because I don't know how much time I have with her either. So it's one of those things you have to look at. And unfortunately, like, I talk to a lot of my friends who have parents now that their health is failing or they're having health-related problems and or they've had minor heart attacks or things like this. And I'm just like, there's only so much we can do because at this point in their life, they don't want to listen to us.
Right.
And they come from a place where they're like, well, no, this isn't bad for me. Only smoking and drinking is bad for me. Like, meat isn't bad for me. And I'm like, it's arguable. And,
right.
You have high cholesterol, so you probably shouldn't be eating that many eggs. But they just have it so ingrained. And a lot of my friends also have immigrant parents. So it's very hard to get through to them. And having lost my mom, I'm like, you guys, like, let it go. Just enjoy time with them and do what you can. But that's
the thing, you can lead a horse to water.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And that's the whole premise of this brand, and what I'm about is let them know the information and then they can make their own choice.
Yeah.
We are all in charge of our own bodies.
Yeah.
Again, I just want you to know some of the risks so you can make the choice that works best for your life.
Yeah.
Now, some of those choices I might not agree with, but that means that I don't have to live like that.
Exactly. And we're having kids and we're living our lives and we're making the decision on what to bring in our homes so we can make those choices. Exactly.
I look at my parents, and they have certainly made a lot of switches in their life after, what happened to me. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud that, as a result, I've been able to effectuate some change in their life. And I look at my home. My kids know about these things. I mean, my daughter's the first person to go into someone's bathroom and say, "Oh, you shouldn't use this nail polish," or see someone using a lipstick. "Oh, did you know that this is XYZ is in that product?"
Yeah.
And she's 14, and I'm proud. Or my son who masks every Sunday because he knows that's a really important step and understands the importance of washing his face. And he'll pick up something and he'll say, and he said to me, "Hey, Mom, I don't think Axe, I should wear that." Like, he's so cute about it. He's like, what deodorant do you think I should use? I want to make some different choices. And so that's part of this change and this shift. And while Perhaps the government and we're not as fast on regulating some of these ingredients that we'd like to be. We as consumers can vote with our dollars on what we're buying and shift that as well.
Exactly. And I think that's where the power comes from us. Like if we demand it as consumers, brands will have to start making changes.
Yeah, well, that's because, it's supply and demand. It's simple economics. People are going to be demanding this. The supply chain is going to change, and people are going to wake up.
Yeah.
And whether it's regulated or not, those are the products that will be on the shelf because that's what we're asking for.
Exactly. And at least demanding for transparency so that...
Oh, thank you. Please. That's so important to me. When I read a label, I want to know everything that's in it. I look at some of these things, and obviously very well the word fragrance and parfum and perfume, and not really knowing what's in there because it is protected, and you have no clue.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the nasties and phthalates can be.
Yeah, and exactly. I'm like, why is fragrance like a term for all the things that you can hide? I want to know what's in your fragrance.
Yep, and I love that brands are starting to be transparent about it.
Yeah, and I want to be clear for those listening because I get a lot of questions is that fragrance, there's different types. There's synthetic fragrance and then there's essential oil fragrance. And then,
yes.
We're naturally derived fragrances without phthalates. And it just because there's fragrance in a product doesn't mean that you can't use it. You have to ask the question, what kind of fragrance?
Well said, and that goes to the transparency and just asking the brand, hey, what's in this? Can you tell me? And you know what? I'm finding more and more brands are very willing to do that. They understand. They're seeing it.
They have to, because
exactly.
What are you hiding? Why are you not telling
exactly?
me?
You know what? And it's just asking for transparency. Brands are starting to understand that. Consumers are getting smart about it. And again, just because I love the point you made, just because it says that word doesn't mean it's bad. You just need to, and who are we to judge what's bad, what's good? But you just want to know. That's all I'm saying is you just want to so you can make that decision for yourself on where you are on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And also, just because something is natural doesn't always mean it's good.
Exactly.
Poison ivy. Probably do not want it in my moisturizer.
Yeah.
So I think we have to take a look at this too.
Yes. And
people are like, well, you don't use anything that has a chemical in it. I'm like, well, first of all, water's a chemical, so let's be a little realistic here on what we're calling things.
Yeah. And exactly, like just because it says natural, don't look at the ingredients, find out what's in it. And especially because it's natural, because I have a sensitivity to certain lavender. So not all lavender is equal either, because I can use certain things on my face with lavender in it and some I can't. So
I love that you said that. Not every ingredient, even if it's the same inky name, is created equal. It depends on where it was sourced, how it's sourced. The best analogy I can make about that is you go into Whole Foods and you want to buy chicken. Mm-hmm. And there are 5 different levels of chicken, ranging from, your conventional, maybe it was grass-fed free range, to the chicken basically was massaged every day, was given things on, hand-fed and pet, slept in my bed with me. You have these whole ranges of it, and ingredients are the same way.
Exactly. And unfortunately, they don't really specify which lavender they use sometimes.
Yeah, because you have to use the inky name. So for you, it's really like, oh, is this going to work? Am I going to be? That's a hard thing.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of the times, when in doubt, I just kind of don't put it on my face.
Right.
Because it can be pretty bad, immediately. I think I sprayed an aloe spray while I was out of town, and I was like, oh, it's just aloe, and I sprayed it, and I got itchy really quickly, and I looked at the back, and they had lavender in it. So
yeah. And again, I love it. Just because it's natural doesn't mean that you're not going to have a sensitivity. Look at peanut allergies, strawberry allergies. Oh, there are tons of people who have sensitivities and really severe allergies, and that again goes to flip the box, take a look at the ingredient.
Yeah. And
That's it. It's just
and
simple.
you'll learn. You'll quickly learn. Like I've learned argan oil. Not all argan oils created equal because certain ones cause a reaction on me as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not completely
They
allergic to
kill.
these, but you have to figure it out for
Look at
yourself.
squalane.
Yeah.
Squalane, one of my favorite ingredients. You can get it from sugar. You can get it from olives, like where we derive it from. You can also get it from sharks. So it's one ingredient can be sourced from very different places.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can get any more different than a shark and an olive.
I know, right? I love your squalane oil, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. It is I can't live without product ever. It completely changed my complexion, I will admit.
Yeah, oils are amazing. If you find the right one that you like, that works well with your skin, I think it can do miracles for you.
I'm with you. You're preaching to the choir. We're completely with you on there. And again, I go, what works best for you? What works best for me isn't necessarily going to work best for my daughter or my son or my mother or my friend. You have to find what works best for you.
I love your packaging because I love that, when I picked up your packaging, the immediate thing was like, I didn't even know how clean your products were. I just was like, oh, this is a nice skincare line. And then I obviously did my research. But that's what I love about it is that more and more, but I think you really were the first to make cleaner skincare that is pretty to look at, that feels luxurious on your counters.
Thank you so much for that awesome compliment. Thank you.
Because before...
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Because I hate to say this,
and hopefully my graphic designer is listening, and thank him too.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful, and it's it's universally appealing because it's not like, oh, this is a female skincare line, this is a male skincare line, which is, by the way, such BS. Because skin is skin. You just have to buy the right kind for your skin type. So I like that it's simple but chic and it feels luxurious. I love that it was, because I thought when I started doing research, I'm like, oh no, I see what's available at Whole Foods and it's not pretty to look at. Like, it's just kind of like, eh. And I like pretty looking things. So
me too, which is why that was the big thing for me.
Yeah, and I love...
It was purely selfish.
I love the frosted glass. I love the...
Thank you.
It's just really beautiful. And then the packaging too, and how ethically you really do try to be sustainable and ethical about the way you source everything. So
thank you. I thank you for noticing. I mean, stewardship of the earth is very important to me. Obviously, I have this huge greenhouse, and it's something I'm passionate about. So when we're choosing paper, we're making sure that it's ethically, it's from forest stewardship, recycled down to the inks that we're using. Obviously, it was a very conscious choice to use glass bottles. One that sometimes people are like, but it's glass. I'm like, but that's more recyclable,
It's recyclable or reusable too.
And reusable. I know. Listen, don't laugh. I have a lavender and I have a squalane oil bottle that is cleaned out, and I put a flower in it.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's cool. I mean, granted, it's my line, so that, of course, would make sense. And it has my name on it, so it's monogrammed. But, I just think it looks pretty.
Yeah, I'm starting to try, because now I'm, on this whole other zero waste journey. I don't think that will ever fully be a thing for me, but I am trying to eliminate the amount of waste I produce. So I think glass is so beautiful. It's so reusable. And if you have to, you can recycle it. And it's amazing. Yeah. And I think it's beautiful. It feels nice.
Me too. You want it to look and feel luxurious. You want to feel like you're doing something nice for yourself. That's a big part of this brand, is taking care of oneself. And, we all talk about self-love, self-care, but really taking care of yourself, mind, body, and soul. Mm-hmm. Not just the products you're putting on yourself, but taking that time to moisturize, taking that time to connect with yourself, being mindful, being present, and feeling sexy, feeling gorgeous, feeling, chic. All those things are an emotion that evokes a response in your body. Definitely. And it was really important for me to include that in the branding.
And I love it.
But you wanted to take that time to do it. As I said, I lived for a reason. It wasn't just putting products on a shelf.
Yeah. And it's like the more I learn about you, the more I learn about Indie Lee, the brand, I just fall in love with it so much more.
Thank you. That is the nicest compliment. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
But you see,
it's not, when people say this, it really comes to heart. I mean, this is a very personal journey that I'm dragging you all on with me.
Yeah, and again, being completely honest, I had no idea who you were. I didn't know much about the brand. It showed up in my PO box, and I touched it, and I was like, "This is beautiful. What is this?" This was just at the cusp of when I started learning more about the toxins in my products.
Mm-hmm.
I turned it over, and I was like, "Oh, there's nothing that I was very against mineral oils in my moisturizers in the beginning." That was like the first thing to go. And I was like, oh, I can use this. And I didn't want alcohol, like straight up alcohol in my products.
Yep.
That's actually not that horrible of a ingredient. It's just, I don't want it on my skin. And so
Right.
I was like, oh, I can use this. And then when I saw that you had a squalene oil and I had just learned about how amazing squalene was for my skin, I was like, oh, again, I can use this. And, then obviously I start to do more and more research and read more about you guys and then learn about your journey, and I was just like, this is so magical. This is such an amazing thing you're doing.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
Yeah, and
it means so much to me. It really means so much to me that people like yourself are taking the time to get to know the brand. One of the greatest things that I feel that we're doing is creating community.
Mm-hmm. And I think you've started an amazing movement and an amazing community.
You're going to make me cry. Like, seriously, thank you.
No, but it really...
That's why I get up in the morning. So thank you.
That's why I get up in the morning, too. It's about this community that we're building. Your community, my community, crossover community, whatever it is. Like, I think when brands are trying to build a community versus sell, I mean, obviously you have to pay the bills and you have to innovate and you need money for that. But if you understand that it's the community first, there's just so much that can be done with that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, from knowledge comes power, right?
Yes.
And so we're being I love that the community that I certainly feel that I'm creating is an inclusive one, and one where I want to listen and learn from others and hear and grow together.
Yeah. And I want to thank you so much for being on here. I hope this episode inspires others to, look at what they're putting on themselves and check out your brand as well. And yeah, so thank you so much. And make sure to tune in every week for a new episode. And yeah, so we'll see you guys next week. Bye.